Boy, it wasn't pretty, but we got the job done. On to the round of 16. Let's talk about it. How's it? Welcome to the second leg of the round of 32. Raiders gonna rate. I've got Jessinho with me, obviously, as always. How are you?
I'm good. I am good. I can't complain. I really can't.
I think I did a fair amount of complaining on the post-game show, even though we won. So yeah, I was a bit of a negative Nancy earlier. So I'm probably going to be a bit of a negative Nancy for this because I actually get to put a number to all of these idiots. But you'll be surprised at who the biggest idiot on my list is.
Okay.
So let's get into it. Burned Leno. I think you started last time. Unless you want to start this time, I was going to go.
No,
first.
You go ahead.
Nothing he's going to do about either goal that he gave up. I mean, the first goal, the free kick, that's a worldie. Just credit where credit's due. We'll get into the reasoning behind it, but as far as Burned Leno is concerned, you're not stopping. Nobody's stopping that. I love the Emi Martinez. Yeah, he'd have stopped it. Yeah, he'd have stopped it if he were 4 inches taller. But when you give up 2 goals, it's kind of hard to give you a great number. So I didn't think he looked shaky at all. I wasn't disappointed with Burned Leno at all. So I'm going to give him a 7. I know that might be high for giving up 2 goals, but he did everything he could on the 2 goals, including the one that Danny Ceballos just. We'll get into him in a little bit, but yeah, I give him a 7.
Yeah, I think he didn't really do anything wrong. Couldn't really do anything about, and it was like he wasn't really tested either, because it's not like Benfica was doing anything,
right.
So because he didn't really make any like game saves for me, and he didn't really have anything to do with the goals that went in, I'm just gonna give him a 6.
Fair. You get to go first on this one. Hector Bellerin.
So when I did the Arsenal Vision like pre-match thing, they were asking me who's my predicted stock falling, and I picked Hector Bellerin. I do think that there's probably other people that are bigger stock fallings than him, but I don't think I was incorrect in my assessment that I didn't think he was going to have a good game. I think we're seeing why we might need a new right back. I don't understand. It's like, okay, I know that he's good at certain things, but wow, like some of his passing, it's too soft. He's too timid, and I just don't see. I think we need to upgrade in that position. I really do. Whether we get it in the summer, I don't know, but we need to upgrade on that. I think he was just blah. He didn't really help Saka at all. He was just kind of there, and him and Odegaard were just kind of, it just seems so stiff and forced, and it wasn't flowing on that side. The right-hand side, I think, suffers a lot because of Hector Bellerin, but I think that Arteta puts him over there because he likes him, and, he tries to put him in situations that are good for him, but no, I'm going to give him a 5,
You're kinder than I am. He gets a 4. Just bad. I mean, he didn't do anything well today. He did nothing well today. Every pass seemed like it was errant. He was practically playing in the midfield, for crying out loud. In the first half, even out of possession, he's not getting back into position to play as a right back. He's waiting for us to win the ball back so that he can continue his midfield play. He gets a 4 from me. It's slightly below average. He didn't do anything to help, but he did a little bit to hinder.
But that's the thing at this point with Hector Bellerin. I think we're realizing that he's not bad, but he's not good either. Yeah. He's just average.
Yep.
And a team that wants to do more, wants to get into the top 4, like he's not Cancelo. Like that's what I want to tell Arteta. I'm like, you're trying to play him like Cancelo, but Cancelo is a world-class player. But Hector Bellerin is not. He's average. And when you put him in those positions, he looks really bad.
Yep.
So
Here. David Louise. I mean, not at fault for any goal. I didn't think David Luiz had a poor game today. He wasn't really noticeable. Had a few nice runs to try to progress the ball a little bit. I'm going to give David Luiz a 7. I don't really have much to say about him, which is a good thing, because usually if you're talking about David Luiz, you're talking about him in a negative light or in a negative tone. He was caught out of position a few times in the second half. I'm going to actually drop that to a 6 now that I think about it. He was caught out of position a few times where he really had to race back to make up for being out of position. But he did race back and get back into the play and have an impact defensively on stopping a break. So I'm going to give him a 6. I'm going to retract the 7, give him a 6.
Yeah, I think that, David Luiz and really Gabriel, for me, a lot of times they do work well together, but they weren't really tested. What really happened was just when the Benfica players, when they bypassed Ceballos and Xhaka and Odegaard, then they were at our defense, but the defense didn't really do anything in terms of the center backs to me that was egregious or anything like that. They had their usual, kind of bobbling, miscommunication moments. They have those every once in a while, but they were not at fault for the goals. That I would honestly, I'm just going to put them both I think they're both to me a 6, both of them, him and Gabriel.
Go ahead. Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
I know that, Gabriel may seem like he was sloppy on the ball a little bit, and all that kind of stuff. But I think he also had some good defensive moments, and a lot of times when he's making those last ditch efforts to defend, it's because they've already bypassed David Luiz and he's trying to make up for David Luiz.
Right.
So he looks bad, but really, where was David Luiz? Right. He made the initial mistake. So I'm going to give them both a 6. I'm
giving Gabriel a 7 because he recovered and did cover some area that David Luiz did get caught out in. So I'm going to give Gabriel a 7 because I think he was sloppy on the ball, but defensively, he did what he could to prevent a couple of goals, or at least prevent a couple of goal scoring chances in the second half, kind of towards the end of the match, where we got caught on the break, and he was hustling his rear end off to get back and try to at least get himself involved in the play to give the attacking player something more to think about. So I'm going to give Gabriel a 7. I'll let you go first with Kieran Tierney.
My captain. So here's the thing. He's still rusty. That's the thing, is you could kind of see that in the beginning. He was, sometimes he was trying to beat Gonçalves, I think what his name was, but he was making it his personal mission to beat his own player. And I love that about him. Every single time he got the ball, he was like, I'm going to face up against Gonçalves or whatever his name was. And sometimes he beat him. Sometimes he didn't. Some of his crosses were a little bit heavy, but I think that's, again, going to the rustiness. But the difference between Kieran Tierney and players that we've had over in the past is they just don't step up. But Kieran Tierney stepped up in the moment where we needed him to, because they were about to lose that game. If Kieran Tierney had not stepped up, we would not have been in that game. He single-handedly made it his business to make sure we weren't out of that tie. And I love him for that. We haven't had players like that in so long. And now that I'm seeing it, I'm like, this is what we've been missing. I'm giving Kieran Tierney an 8. I don't care what he did before that goal. That goal alone gets him an 8.
I'm 100%. The goal gives him an 8 for me. I am actually going to try to recreate a moment, sort of. I actually called Ryan from the Arse Bros after he scored that goal, and I yelled at him, if he's not the captain of this club next year, I'm burning down the stadium.
Oh.
I'm not really going to burn down the stadium.
I know.
But that's where we're at with this kid at this point. I don't have anything else to really say. This kid is the reason that we won today. I know Aubameyang had 2 goals, and I know Bukayo Saka had 2 assists. Kieran Tierney's the reason we won this game today, because without that second goal in the middle to level and to give us a chance, we're not winning.
Exactly.
And he got the ball, and we'll get on to Willian here when we get into the subs. But I will credit real quick Willian for making the pass to Kieran Tierney to set him up. Kieran Tierney made the goal happen. Like, I'm not going to go overboard and say that the pass was tremendous, but
anybody could have made that pass, but
right.
It wasn't anybody that could have done what Kieran Tierney did. I mean, he still had to get past the player. He still had to be in the box. He still had to shoot it. Like, that was Kieran Tierney, period.
Absolutely.
He's the exact type of player that we need in this rebuild. He's not a good time player. He's a every time I'm on the field type player.
Yep.
We need more of those. More of that.
I just want to share one thing to the screen real quick. I'm going to give some credit to believe it's at Gunner Thoughts on Twitter. But there you go. And I think this is absolutely hysterical. Kieran Tierney, when he sees Arsenal draw Glasgow Rangers in the Europa League. And boy, if that happens, Kieran Tierney's probably going to go last Boy Scout on some guys. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, just Google the Last Boy Scout opening scene and you'll understand what I'm getting at. So that's it for Kieran Tierney. Gets an 8 from both of us. Granit Xhaka, you want to take it or you want me to go? I forget who went first.
I went first last time.
Okay. Granit Xhaka. Oh man. Kind of like the tale of two sides of midfield for me. I'm going to give Granit Xhaka a 6. I don't think he did anything egregious. He didn't necessarily do anything to hurt the team. I don't really think he did much to help the team. But that being said, when he had the ball in the final third or in approaching their 18-yard box, he did make he made some smart passes to try to get other players going and get them into the play. So it wasn't his best performance today. It's not what we've seen from him recently, but it wasn't terrible. I'm going to give Xhaka a 6.
Yeah, I think the issue with Xhaka is that he's just not a game-changing type of player. He can be very solid, but when we're doing bad, he's just there. And when we're doing good, he's just kind of there. He's not like Kieran Tierney. He's not a game changer. Yeah. So he was just okay today. So I'm going to give him a 7. He didn't do anything really wrong, but he was not going to change that game.
Right. Right. I'm glad you're going first on this one. I can't wait. Danny Ceballos.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing is that people are going to kill Danny Ceballos, but you got to remember, like, every single player on this Arsenal team makes individual errors. He happened to make 2 in this game, which I know is just like totally insane. So I'm not going to overly kill him because I remember Rob Holding made an individual mistake the other day and we were like, well, he had a good game. Before those individual mistakes, Danny Ceballos was having a good game. And he had a brain fart. And I don't know, I just think there's something with this team, not just individual players, but with the team and the culture and the mindset where they just don't, there's not enough leadership and mental stability in the squad. Like, so I think it passes from person to person and it's not an individual thing at this point. That being said, he needs to keep it simple. When he tries that back header that he did was just Danny Ceballos overdoing it in a game where we needed him to just keep it simple. Don't try to flick the header back without looking at the goalkeeper and do something cute when you can see that there's a player running behind you. What are you doing? So he just kind of proved to me a little bit that he might be somebody that we can't trust. We need to watch him a little bit more. Maybe he doesn't need to be playing as much. I definitely think that this puts the question out there, like maybe we shouldn't be trying to sign him permanently. I know that the club wants to, but we probably shouldn't be. He was at like a 7 for me before those 2 individual errors, but I had to knock him all the way down for that, a 3, because he really could have cost us so much with that, You
get a 1. Not giving you a 0 because a 0 to me is like the not applicable. You played 70 minutes. Almost. He gets a 1 for me because you literally, if we don't get bailed out by a 19-year-old kid, you just cost us an opportunity to qualify for the Champions League. By yourself. You caused that. you gave up the free kick from 2 yards outside the 18-yard box.
In
The
a
back
minute
header.
before halftime.
Yeah.
We got to start cleaning that up.
Yep. And then the back header with absolutely no spatial awareness whatsoever. You had no idea where you were. No clue where you were, because there was no way, even if you got good contact on that ball, that it was going back to Bernd Leno far enough to the point where Silva is Rafa Silva that got that he doesn't get an opportunity there. So you get a 1. I mean, you just in a game like this with everything in our season riding on this game, you get a 1. I don't care how well you played. It's like one mistake. Sure. The first goal, you're trying to make a play. I get it. You're trying to make a play, bad play, but you're trying to make a play, and I can forgive it. But the second one, nah. At that point, you've buried yourself. You get a 1. You're getting. I'm now treating you like the server that I would, and I don't ever do this, by the way. I've worked in the service industry a long time, and I've never ever given a server less than 15% tip. But you're the guy that's going to get $1 on a $100 check because you were that bad, because you ruined my night. With the exception of dessert coming in, dessert cleaned the whole thing up. It was delicious, and it left me with a good taste in my mouth. No pun intended. It was fully intended, actually. But you get a 1. I'm so unbelievably disappointed with Danny Ceballos after this game, because he's the one player that I looked at from last week and I said, here's the guy that if he has a repeat of what we did last week, we should win. Like we should go through. And not only did he not have a repeat, but he went the completely opposite direction. Like he went from one end of the spectrum to the polar opposite end. I feel like you have something else you want to add.
I mean, I don't really have any. My thing with it is just like, I really think that this is a system it's ingrained in the team, and it's not based on certain players have it. I just think that it passes from player to player, and he was having a good game, which is weird to be having a good game, to not show any shakiness whatsoever and make 2 fatal errors like that.
Yeah.
That is just strange. I don't think it will ever see that again from him, but it really he stunk up the place today. He really did.
Yeah, he really did. Star boy, little chilly, Bukayo Saka. I'm giving him the 9. Giving him the 9. You get 2 assists and look, goal scorers are always going to get high ratings when they score goals, but the assister has to get a solid number as well, because he's the playmaker. And we've used all the superlatives on Bukayo Saka over the past few weeks since we started doing this show. He gets a 9 for me. 2 assists, had a few opportunities at goal himself. Actually got moved to right back when Bellerin was subbed off. He actually dropped back to play right back for a few minutes before he himself ended up getting subbed off. I'm out of things to say. That this kid is by the time his career is over, if he spends the majority of it with Arsenal, he might be my favorite player of all time. That's where he is with me right now. So 9.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 9 too. I think obviously, like for me, he's my man of the match. I know Aubameyang scored the goals, but for me, the responsibility that him and Tierney took to make sure that we didn't go out is the difference between what happened last year and what happened today. The exact same things happened. We were shaky. We didn't play well. Individual errors all over the place. But the difference was we had 2 players that decided we're not doing this. And Aubameyang, of course, he was good in the Olympiacos game again last year. He had the bicycle kick and he did his job. But there wasn't anybody else. This time there was other people involved that said, no, we're not going to get kicked out. And it's one thing for Saka to have immense quality and to be able to play when we're playing well. But the way that he's stepping up when we're playing like crap, that's special.
Yep.
We're very lucky to have this player. Like, we have to improve the squad to keep him. I know people are saying, well, he's Arsenal through and through, but he's the type of player he's so hungry that he's gonna want to win shit.
Yep.
He's want to win shit. So I want us to build this squad around Saka from now on. The squad needs to be built around this player.
Yep.
9.
What's your 9? I was like, what's your number? Martin Odegaard.
Yeah. So Marty. Okay, so yeah, you had a couple of nice passes in there. You were trying to win the ball back and all that kind of stuff. But again, you had a kind of peripheral type of performance, and I think that's because, again, we're trying to figure out how to use him in this system. I'm not gonna freak out about it. It is what it is. I don't think that being next to Hector Bellerin helps him at all. I think he is like a black hole. And when you're near him, the football just kind of gets worse. And it just seems like it was happening to Pepe, it happens to Saka, and it happens to Odegaard, because he's on that right-hand side. He was just okay. I'm going to give him a 5. Like, he was just there, and yeah, he needs to assert himself more. The team needs to integrate him a little bit further, and we need to figure out how we're going to use him, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm going to be a little more generous with him. I'm going to give him a 6. I didn't think it was horrible. I thought his lack of involvement was really more down to the players around him than him. Playing with Granit Xhaka and Danny Ceballos in the midfield, and not someone like a Thomas Partey in the midfield for 70 minutes, give or take. I think when we see those two actually start a game together and log meaningful minutes together in the midfield, I think you'll start to see a change there. So I didn't think it was terrible. I agree, and I love the way you put it, a peripheral player, both figuratively and literally even, because he just kept seeming to want to drift to the right a lot today. So seemed to be more on the periphery, again, like you said, figuratively and literally, but I'm going to give him a 6. I just didn't think it was that bad. And like I said, I kind of chalk up if you want to, I don't want to call it a poor performance, but some of the things that you wish he kind of would have done better, I think you chalk that up to the players around him.
Yeah, and look at some of the good things that he did. Like he almost put Aubameyang in for a goal.
Yeah,
and we have to start tempering our expectations of what this player is going to be like, because I think
I'm sitting here playing with the dog right now. I'm trying to occupy the dog while I do this.
I think people feel like, okay, he has to be on the ball and create every single chance. And that's just not how it is. He's going to get a couple of chances to put the ball on a plate for players like Aubameyang. And I think he kind of did that. It's just he needs to, we're just going to have to get him into the game a little bit more. That's it.
I think if Thomas Partey can have a run of fitness here, get back into the starting lineup, and have a run of games where he doesn't get hurt, not 2 or 3 games, and then all of a sudden he needs 2 or 3 games off. And if Odegaard continues to start, I think you'll start to see some real nice link-up play there and some really nice things from Odegaard. So, Emile Smith-Rowe.
Okay. I was really frustrated with him today, but I want to give him a pass, because I just feel like when we saw Emile Smith-Rowe really arrive into this Arsenal team, he was playing in a different position. He was playing with completely different players. When you're, the connectivity between the players needs to be right. And when you have somebody who likes to play quick 1-2s and you put him on the side with Aubameyang, and Aubameyang's drifting onto the left, there's not really anybody for him to connect with. He's too far away from Saka, and he was too far away from Odegaard, because Odegaard was so far on the right. Yeah. So he was just isolated on that side, and nothing was really happening. A lot of our buildup and everything was caught on the right-hand side. Danny is on the right, Odegaard's on the right, Bellerin and Saka are on the right. So his again, another peripheral kind of performance is more indicative of the game state and what we were doing tactically. Then he wasn't getting the ball and losing it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like we were feeding him, he's getting the ball, losing it. It just wasn't on his side. We need to figure out a way to get him more involved if we're going to play this way. It's such a waste to have Emile Smith-Rowe out there on the field if nobody's going to be able to find him and get him integrated. So I'm going to give him a 5, just mostly based on the fact that he was on the peripheral, like kind of part of the game. He did try to get the ball back. He did his usual Smith Rowe kind of like running, but you can tell that him on the left-hand side, he's just kind of isolated, so we need to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I'm in absolute 110% agreement with you. A 5 for me. Everything you just said, literally everything you just said. I'm just going to repeat it, so I'm done. Aubameyang, you want to go first, or you want me to go?
You go.
So, very happy to see him get the 2 goals. The second goal, look, we've all criticized him for not being able to head the ball. Am I still coming through okay on your end? Because my little internet thing is freaking out up here. He gets an 8 from me today. It's amazing what a goal will do for a player in his position, because once he got the goal, he came alive. He really came alive. The header was to give us the win. I mean, look, that's pressure situation, man. The ball's coming, and you've got a minute to, you've got a second to think about it, and you got to score it, because if you don't, we're screwed. And he did. So Saka's my man of the match simply because of everything else that he does. But Alba for me today, I liked what I saw. He gets an 8.
Yeah, I'm going to give Aubameyang a 9, as just like I gave Saka, even though Saka is my man of the match. They get the same score, but the only difference is that I think I'm more impressed by Saka because he's an impressive young player. Aubameyang is doing what he's supposed to do,
Exactly.
but he's doing it on the big stage when we really need him to do it. And that's what I expect from Aubameyang. He did it last year against Olympiacos. We just couldn't get it over the line. He did it today. We were able to get it over the line. So as long as he continues to score goals, that's all we can hope, for him. He's not great in build up. He's not always that switched on in terms of like wanting to press and all that kind of stuff. But as long as we get the final product, I don't give a crap. So he gets a 9 for me. I thought he did great,
Yeah. On to the subs, and Arteta did use all 5 of his subs today. Try to go in order here. I think I have them square. The first one will be Willian on for Emile Smith Rowe, and it is to you. Very curious as to what you say here.
So you guys, let's not be afraid to say that somebody played a little bit better than they were. He was good. Yeah. He was good when he came on, and Arteta explained why he came on versus somebody like Pepe. Not a lot of room in behind, so he wanted to get somebody that could, protect the ball and was technically secure on it. And Pepe is a running in motion type of player, and Willian can connect a little bit better. And he gave the ball to Tierney for the assist. He seems switched on. It is what it is. I still think he's been crap, but I'm going to give him a 7. I mean, he was an impact sub that made an impact, so he did it.
Yeah. Agree with the number. I'm giving him a 7 as well. He got the assist. Without the assist, he probably gets a 6 from me. Yeah. But with the assist to Tierney. And again, as I stated earlier with Kieran Tierney, that's the smart play to make by Willian. He didn't try to do too much. He kept it simple. Made the smart pass, made a good pass. Wasn't a crazy difficult pass, but it was a good pass, the smart pass, the right play. And obviously then, Tierney did what he did. So yeah, he was solid today. Other than the assist, did he did anything to blow your skirt up? No, but he was solid. So, with the assist, Willian gets a 7 from me. Next up, I actually want to double check this because I do want to do these in order.
Should be Thomas.
Yeah, Partey, because they came on together at 63 minutes. Yeah, so Partey came on for Dani Ceballos. He had his moments where he was doing things well, but then he kind of became invisible. Probably going to be a little generous with this. I'm going to give him a 7. He didn't do he did nothing wrong, in my opinion. So I'm going to give him a 7, just, coming back from injury, and we were down at the time when he came on. So I think we were down. Pretty sure we were when he came on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to give him a 7. Nothing wrong with the performance. And just his presence on the pitch, I think is a bit unnerving, if you will. No, that's not the right word. Calming, I should say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
give him a
I
7.
think some of the times, like, especially with Thomas Partey, there's still, a little bit of like, well, what is he doing? Like, what does he do? Because he does really just kind of keep it simple. He's not really like, he's not going to put in like the most beautiful through balls or anything like that. He can do those things, but when you have a player with his type of stature and his level, he's a world-class midfielder with a physical presence. The other team changes the way that they behave on the field, and you gain control over the midfield that you didn't have before. If I'm a player, I'd rather play against Ceballos and Xhaka rather than Xhaka and Thomas Partey. You automatically gain control by having a player like that in there. He didn't do much, but I think that's more in terms of game state and the fact that he's not the player that we needed to get on the ball. We needed Saka on the ball. We needed Odegaard on the ball. So I don't really think it was his game to be on the ball and unlock the defense. That wasn't really what he was there to do. But I think he did calm us down a lot. Whereas I think Ceballos is almost like this jittery kind of nature to him, whereas Thomas was more calming. So
yeah,
I'm going to give him a 7 too. I know what you're saying about like it might be a little bit generous because he didn't really do anything, but he's just one of those types of players that his presence alone just makes us a different question that the opposition has to answer. So that's just how I feel.
Yeah. No, yeah. Next up is Alex Lacazette, and he came on for Hector Bellerin.
I forgot he even came on.
Yeah,
to be honest,
yeah.
I'm just gonna give him a simple 5. I just didn't. He didn't really do anything.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I love Lacazette. I really do. But yeah, it's a 5 for me. Part of that also is just the kind of player he is and the things that we needed to do in the game. But yeah, he's going to get a 5 from me. He didn't really affect the game one way or the other. The final 2 substitutes, they're going to get a 5 or an NA from me. Both of them, El Neni and Callum Chambers. They came on at 90 minutes. It didn't have an impact in the game, really, in my opinion, at all. So they're going to get a 5 average NA, whatever you want to give them. So
I agree.
Okay, so you want to flip a coin as to no? You know what? I want to hear your take on Mikel Arteta. No, I'm saving Arteta for last. No, I'm saving Arteta for last. The ref, for me, nothing egregious. I didn't really see any mistakes out there. I gets a 5. Give him a 6. Give him a 6. He was, I think, most of his. First of all, I don't really remember him being involved that much at all. The calls that he did have to make when he did have to blow the whistle, overall, I think it was the right call. I give him a 6.
I agree. When you don't really remember the ref, that's a good sign.
Yep.
And that's a real big difference than what we usually get in the Premier League. So,
Yep.
6.
Arteta. All right. I want you to go first because I want to hear what you have to say before I give my number. Not because you're because you're going to change my mind. I'm curious. So I want, if it's okay with you, I want you to go first on Arteta.
Yeah. I don't think this game really told us much about Arteta as a manager. It didn't really change my mind, at all. I think that, a couple of individuals, a couple of really good players decided to win the game. And despite Arteta's in-game management, he lives to fight another day. That's pretty much what it is. Nothing really changes for me. It was the exact same thing that happened last season. It's literally a mirror image of last year's game in the round of 32. The only difference is you had Kieran Tierney and Saka this time. That's not up to you. That's because they decided that they wanted to win, and somebody told me this the other day and I thought about this. I'm like, do any of these players run through walls for the manager? Like, do any of them play for him? Because it's just kind of like this really under the surface, kind of simmering under the surface, never really getting quite to a boil, lackluster, shaky, nervous, just kind of playing within ourselves type of performance all the time. And I can't release Arteta from that. We blame the players of everything, but some of that has to be Arteta. So again, I don't really think this really tells me much about Arteta as a manager. Doesn't change how I feel about him. I think he still has some things to work on, But I think despite his in-game management and weird subs and, you know, the choices to drop certain players and to play certain players and all this kind of stuff, I think he squeaked by because a couple players decided that they didn't want to lose. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to give him a average, like just 5. Like, you know, I just, whatever, you know, he won the game, but it was like we won despite some of your bullshit, you know?
Yeah. So bear with me. I've had a bit of a revelation today when it comes to Mikel Arteta, and it's kind of funny that you chose to express a thought as, will any of these players run through a wall for him? Because I said the same thing on the pregame show, on the tailgate. He is not a motivator. In terms of match day preparation, I'm not sure he's great at that either. Just look to last Sunday, giving up a goal to Man City in 77 seconds. Does not have his teams ready to come out on the front foot from the first whistle. That said, the lineup I thought he got right. I was a little upset that Partey didn't start. I was of the mind that if he's healthy enough to be on the bench, he's healthy enough to start. So let's go. But I can kind of understand where he's coming from with the, if God forbid things don't go my way and I need to bring on a world-class player, he's about the best that I can do. So I get it. That being said, the realization that I came to today, and Mikel Arteta for me is going to get a 3. And it's not even necessarily down to this game in particular. His style of football just does not equate to winning trophies. It does not equate to where we as a football club want to be, where ownership and a lot of the supporters expect us to be, the entitlement of it all. We're just not going to win anything with him as the manager. It's that simple. We're just not, because in order to play the style of football that he wants to play, you have to be able to lure the players to the club that Manchester City can bring in. We're never going to do that. As long as we are not willing to open the coffers to pay the world-class players to fit his style, and we try to get him to coach these players up, it's not going to work. It's down to system. It's down to motivation. It's down to him trusting himself. I am not Arteta out. I'm real close. And that's despite the win, because I have to tell you that even at the end of the match, I was not happy. I'm still not happy. And I'll be totally honest with you. And here comes the negative Nancy. Are you confident that we're going to go through the round of 16 to the quarterfinals? I'm not. I mean, it doesn't even matter who we draw. And I don't even, and we don't even know yet because the draw hasn't been made. But I'm telling you that if we play this way in the next round that we just played against a team that every single person that I've ever heard on the face of this planet tell me that we're a better team than, we have no chance. We have no chance. And we could get downright embarrassed. And it's not down to the players. It's down to him. He has to make a change in this system, because too often I am seeing players with 25 yards of space in front of them stop the ball and turn around and face the goalkeeper. Why? Why? He's telling them to do that. It is, I want to build out the play from the back, despite the fact that I have 5 guys in the box against 3 defenders, but I want to build the play from way back here, so go back there and start again. This is what my nephew's team gets told. Stop chasing the ball. Stop every time you have the ball on your foot, you try to shoot it. Go start back there and make a pass. These are professionals. Professionals. They don't need that anymore.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. And I said this on the last She Knows Arsenal show. I've been saying this, and people are like, well, you're sitting on the fence. And I'm like, I'm not sitting on the fence because I live in reality. Like he's not getting fired. He's not going anywhere. So my whole thing is like, he needs to improve. Why do we watch so many sports documentaries, sports shows, sports movies where the coach is spending time motivating his team on the game day. So you're telling me that that's not Arteta's job? I have so many people telling me that, well, once they cross the white line, it's all up to them. I'm like, you guys are releasing Arteta of a lot. That's part of the job. It's not only getting on the training pitch and showing them, graphs and tactics and all that kind of stuff. It's freaking getting them ready for the game. It's motivating them.
It is. If anybody wants to hear the best motivational speech in the world, search Herb Brooks' Miracle on YouTube. It's a movie, but it's based on the 1980 United States men's Olympic hockey team when they beat the Russians. And I can tell you for a fact that speech is not verbatim. I promise you the language was much more colorful. But that speech is probably the best motivational speech I've ever heard in my life. And I mean it. I'm not kidding. I'm a big hockey fan and everybody knows that, but seriously. It's a
part of the coach's job to do that. When we watched All or Nothing, when we watched Manchester City, that was a part of, I think Arteta was doing a lot of the tactical stuff, but Pep was doing a lot of the arm around the player stuff, and that's the part that I feel like is missing. We're so sterile. Like everything that we do, it's sterile. It's just under the surface. There's no fight. And you have a couple players that are like that, but I'm afraid he's almost going to coach that out of them at some point.
And one other thing to that end, he's coaching too much. There needs to be structure and discipline in defense, but in attack, you need to be creative. You need to be expressive. And there's too much rigidness. It's too, you need to be here. You need to be over there. And he's yelling at who to pass the ball to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's so much for the element of surprise, right?
And they're not good enough for that. When you have a Pep team where you can put them in a system and they're world-class players, the world-class ability will still shine. But when you have players that are kind of on the fringes, they're good, but they're not world-class, they don't really fit together. You kind of need to let them go a little bit more to get more juice out of the lemon. And I feel like he's just not doing enough of that. And I am not going to back away from feeling like Arteta is not doing enough on that side of the game for me. I don't care what people tell me that, it's just the players, it's the players. If it's just the players, then we can all have the same coach and it wouldn't matter.
Right.
That's why we have different coaches, because different coaches have different levels.
Yeah.
So don't try to tell me that the coach doesn't have anything to do with it and it's just the players. And if he gets a better players, then all of a sudden things are going to change. I don't believe that. He has better players now and we're still getting some of the same results.
You know what Mikel Arteta needs? He needs a Mikel Arteta. I'm serious. Think about who he was at City under Pep. He needs that guy. He needs that guy right now. I think the job right now, I hate to say, and I'm throwing my hands up because I was back the manager and I back him. I'm not Arteta out. I back him and I want him to figure it out because I do think he's going to be a very, very, very good coach in football. But I'm allowed to criticize, and I am not Arteta out, but it's too big for him right now. It's just too big for he's trying to do it all, and you can't do it all. You know what? You need to, as the head coach or the manager, you need to see the big picture. But the big picture is the only thing you can really focus on. You have to rely on your assistants to worry about the more minute stuff, the minutia of coaching and tactically getting a team ready to go. The head coach has got to bring it all together. And I think right now he's trying too hard to make sure that he has a say in every single little area, down to, hey, don't kick that ball with your right foot, kick it with your left. Hey, don't head that ball with your forehead, head it back here, like with the crown here. He's micromanaging too much. His rating today for me is not down to this match, but this match was the culmination of, I think, a lot of pent up frustration and some things that I just didn't want to admit about him. So I hope he figures it out. I hope he gets it turned around. Understand we did not win a trophy playing this way. We did not win the FA Cup or the Community Shield playing the way we're playing right now. Go back to that. I don't care if you've got to go back to the three at the back with wing backs. That's how we were winning football matches. That's how we were winning important football matches. And that's when we looked dangerous. If Bukayo Saka or Kieran Tierney don't make plays, we're not winning. So go back to taking the reins off these guys and just let them play on the counter. Because we do have something that not a lot of teams can match. Speed. You want to play a counterattacking style of football, you need speed to do it. We have that. Mm-hmm. Go do it. So for me, I went off on Arteta there for a good long while, and I apologize for that. So that being said, you're going to wake up at 4:00 in the morning to watch the draw tomorrow, or are you just going to check your phone when you get up?
I'm just going to check my phone and then go back to sleep.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And it's 7:00 for me. So I'll check my phone when I wake up, and then I'll go back to sleep. Actually, no, I'll wake up, check my phone. That'll be it. I'll be awake for the day. So, all right, that's it. Yeah, I think we covered everybody. Good talk.
You guys also don't forget that the post-match show, She Knows Arsenal, is going to be tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow with John from 305 Cast, Adam from the TFO show, and Wax Online. So that's going to be at 4 p.m. UK time. So make sure you tune in for that. We're going to be talking all about this game and just venting more of our frustrations and, see where we land. So be there.
Perfect. So with that in mind, we will see you guys out there as always. It's been good footy talk.